Hey, Moxie Comic Books here. Let's talk comics. Specifically today, I want to go over my previews order for March 2017 and also talk about which service I use to get my previews orders done. So, when I first started to go online to get my comic books, one of the big decisions I had to make was, all right, which website am I going to go with? Am I going to go with Midtown Comics, which I have over here on the right, or am I going to go with Discount Comic Book Service, which I have over here on my left? And then the second question was, is it really worth it to go online versus just going to my local comic book store? So a few things to get kind of out of the way for full disclosure. Number one, I'm not sponsored in any way by either my local comic book shop or Midtown Comics or Discount Comic Book Service. So I feel like I'm unbiased in this matter. I'm just another consumer like a lot of you guys. And if you've never actually bothered to do a comparison between Discount Comic Book Service versus Midtown Comics, and I know that there's other services out there like mycomicbookshop.com and also Things from Another World, but the numbers for them were like way worse, right? So for today's video, I just decided to go off of Discount Comic Book Service and Midtown Comics, and once again, I've not been sponsored in any way. And number two, I'm going to be talking about a case specific to me for 1 month, March 2017 pre-orders. So this is definitely an anecdotal case. Nothing about this is scientific, so I highly encourage you to do your own research. But, all right, here we go. So if you are on the fence about making the jump to online, or if you have made the decision but you're not really sure if you chose the right side, there's a lot of things to consider, a lot of variables, right? So it comes down to stuff like shipping, the condition of the shipment, how often the shipments come in, what kind of discounts you get, overall price, okay, customer service, right? So there's like a bunch of stuff that you have to kind of factor in. So just so you can kind of compare, like if I were going to order off of Discount Comic Book Service just because of the prices that they offered and whatnot, these are the books that I would have ordered. I would have ordered the XO Manowar #1 pre-order bundle. That's actually 3 comics spread over 3 months for $2.99. X-Men Prime #1, Vampirella #1, Vamp Blade Season 2 #1, Titans Annual #1, and you can see most of these are about $3. Tank Girl World War Tank Girl #1, Superman #19, Superman #18, Suicide Squad #1 Director's Cut. So we get the first comic that's over $3. Spawn 273, so that's under $2. Sky Doll Soldier #1. Saga Trade Paperback Volume #1 at $6. Okay, so here we go. Okay, Saga Trade Paperback Volume #1 at $6. Redline #1 under $2. Red Sonja #3. Red Queen #1 at about $2. And I'm going to be ordering previews for that month at 99 cents. New Superman #9 at under $2. Mickey Mouse #18 for my kids, and also for me. Who am I kidding? Jughead the Hunger one shot, so another comic over $3. Josie and the Pussycats #5. John Carter the End #2. Inhumans Prime #1. Hellboy and BPRD 1954 Ghost Moon #1 at about $2. Forever War #2 at about $2.79. Eclipse #5. Bloodshot Reborn #0, Batgirl Annual #1, Aspen Universe Sourcebook at pretty much $4, Anno Dracula #1, and Action Comics 976, 975. And one of the things about ordering off of Discount Comic Book Service is you have to pay to get your books bagged and boarded. So the cheapest option is 12 cents per comic, which is the option that I always use. So going off of those numbers, I would be paying $3.48 for bags and board for the month of March. For a grand total, now, sorry, the other thing I have to mention is they offer a flat shipping rate, which is about $7. So all said and done, my order for the previous orders for Discount Comic Book Service, if I chose to go with them this month, would come out to about 90 bucks and change. Okay, I don't want to show you the bottom over here because I have my credit card information down there, but that's basically what it is. Now, if you go over here to my Midtown Comics screen, I don't want to scroll too far up because my credit card information is there as well, but I have pretty much all the same books. Action Comics, 975 and 976. Basically, it's like reverse order. So these guys go in alphabetical order from bottom to top. These guys go in alphabetical order from top to bottom. So you can see, you can just do a quick check. Everything is pretty much the same. I try to put the same items in my Discount Comic Book Service cart into my Midtown Comics cart, and all the comics are there. So even Mickey Mouse number 18 for my kids is there. Okay, a couple of things I want to point out though, just so I could kind of fudge around with the numbers a little bit and just to emphasize a point. Okay, number one, in the Midtown Comics, I added Soulfire number 1 at $2.59. That's the only comic I added to the Midtown Comics order that I did not add to Discount Comic Book Service. But there are several books that are in my Discount Comic Book Service that are not in my Midtown Comics. So, for example, Aspen Universe Sourcebook at $3.89 is not in my Midtown Comics. Another one that's not there is, trying to find it, Rat Queens number 1 is not in my Midtown's cart. Also not in my Midtown's comic cart. I think that's it actually. Oh, and something else that's not in my Midtown's comic cart is Saga Trade Paperback Volume 1. So an entire trade that I'm getting for $5.99 at Discount Comic Book Service, because they also have in-stock trades, I guess. So a whole trade paperback is not in my Midtown Comics. So in my Midtown Comics, I have an extra comic, which was Soulfire number 1, but I do not have the trade paperback for Saga, Rat Queens number 1, and also the Aspen Universe Sourcebook. So on Discount Comic Book Service, with shipping, bags and board, and all those comics, including the extra trade paperback and 2 additional comics, my total is $90 and change on Discount Comic Book Service. At Midtown Comics, the total is $84.06. But they'd be charging me pretty much $10 for shipping. So that brings the total up to about 94 bucks. Okay, so about $4 more expensive on Midtown Comics. Okay, so that's not that big of a difference, right? Especially considering that Midtown Comics gives you free bag and board for every comic that you order. And to be honest, I'm not really a big comic book aficionado when it comes to some of these the collector side items, like, you know, the long boxes versus short boxes. I can't tell the difference between, like, you know, the one company's box versus another company's box. Like, to me, it's just storage. I have a hard time telling the difference between Discount Comic Book Services bags and board versus Midtown Comics bag and board. I'm pretty sure some of you guys out there who are more familiar and have like a better touch might be able to tell if one is better than the other. And keep in mind, Discount Comic Book Service actually has tiers. So you can actually upgrade to a better quality bag and board, but it's just going to cost you like 30 cents per comic. Versus in Midtown Comics, you don't really have an option of what they use to bag and board it, but it's decent. You know, it's your standard bag and board. Midtown Comics for the longest time used to use a bag that had an adhesive strip on the back, so you didn't actually have to have like a Scotch tape piece there. So I always appreciated that. Discount Comic Book Service, I think, also switched over to that at some point. So now that's not there. But $4 more expensive to order off of Midtown Comics. Midtown Comics does offer free shipping off of comic book orders over $75, but it does not apply to previews orders. And I asked the customer service rep there why that's the case, and they said it's because they offer such deep discounts, which makes total sense. I mean, from a business perspective, you can see why these guys need to, pay to keep the lights on, and they are a retail outlet and everything like that, and they do offer great discounts. For example, the XO Manowar pre-order bundle is 50% off at $5.99. And if you can just see on my screen right here, most of the books that I'm ordering are 35% off, which is a decent discount. And some comics are 50% off, like Redline #1 and XO Manowar pre-order bundle. But what makes them $4 more expensive? I mean, number one, the shipping doesn't help. And again, this is a case-by-case basis. It might be different for you. You might be closer to New York. I'm clear across on the other side of the country in California. Plus, it depends on how much you order, I think. I think Midtown Comics uses a dynamic shipping rate. So the less you order, the lower your shipping cost becomes. The more you order, the more expensive your shipping cost becomes. And this is one of my bigger orders at about $90. So just the comics alone, you really can't tell the difference in price between Discount Comic Book Service and Midtown Comics. Where the deal breaker might come for you is, number one, both of these companies offer, customized shipping. So you can get your previews order shipped every week to you. You just have to pay more shipping. You could go bi-monthly. You could just go once a month like I do. So I get all the books that I order for previews just towards the end of the month when all of them come in. So I only have to pay for shipping like one time. Then I get like this huge pile of comics that I just read for the next month until I wait for my next order shipment to come in. So you got to talk about like the differences between these two companies. Now, to be honest, I've used both in the past. Just because sometimes I felt like ordering from Midtown Comics and sometimes I felt like ordering from Discount Comic Book Service. And whenever I've done kind of like a cursory comparison between the two sides, I've always noticed that their price points are pretty much the same. They're always within the same price range. They're most of the time only off by maybe like $4 or $5. But I will say this, consistently, Discount Comic Book Service is usually the cheaper version. It's usually $4 or $5 cheaper than Midtown Comics. And I think a lot of it has to do with just the shipping cost. Because, like I said, in California, and they're shipping it all the way from New York, and Discount Comic Book Service has just a flat rate. No matter how much you order, you just always get the flat $7 shipping rate. Like I said, you can't really tell the difference between the bag and board. Here is where I've noticed from my personal experiences what the differences are. Number one, what happens if you have an issue with your order? Well, that's where Midtown Comics kind of shines, because during normal business hours, you can call them up, and they have a phone number clearly listed. If you live in the greater New York area, they have a couple of shops. I think 3 shops. I could be wrong about that. But you can just literally go down to the shop. But number one, why would you be ordering from online if you could go to Midtown Comics personally? And the other thing is they have live chat. So if you're kind of shy, antisocial, you can just pop on the chat during normal business hours and somebody will get to you. In fact, that's how I asked about the shipping rate. And they were very professional, very knowledgeable, and they really seemed to want to help you out. So in terms of customer service, if you have a problem, Midtown Comics clearly is the winner. The question is it worth paying $4 to $5 extra a month for that? That's a decision up for you. I will say, whenever I had a problem with this Comic Book Service, which was only one time, I sent an email, and number one, they don't have a phone number listed. They do have a Facebook, so I guess you can call them up. But I just chose to email them because that's the option that they had available on their website, and that's the only option you have. And it says on their website that it takes about 48 hours for you to get a response. So depending on the type of personality you have, you might be the kind of person who can wait 48 hours, but some of you guys might have a personality where you're like, well, there's a problem and I want to talk to somebody about it like right now. Expect to wait a couple of days with Discount Comic Book Service. It will take them a day and a half to call you back or to email you back. But I've never really had to talk to Midtown Comics about a problem I had with an order, but it seems like their customer service is really, really good. Discount Comic Book Service made the situation right. It just took like a couple of extra days. So is that worth paying $4 to $5 a month extra to Midtown Comics? It's totally up to you. And again, depending on where you live, how much books you order, the numbers might actually be a little bit different, and Midtown Comics might actually be cheaper than Discount Comic Book Service for you. Like I said, this is an anecdotal case. If that's the case, then Midtown Comics will be cheaper and have better customer service. You know, that might Midtown Comics might be a better option for you. But for me, if you just kind of consider those two things, it's almost like kind of like a toss-up. You know, you pay less with Discount Comic Book Service, and then you get slower customer service, but still you get customer service eventually. The next area is shipping. When Discount Comic Book Service ships their books out to you guys, they ship it in a tight package. It's everything is bagged and boarded. All the comics that I order are bagged and boarded, and you can choose not to bag and board them, but I mean, why would you? Then they kind of like bundle all the books together and then like put them in a saran wrap, and they're all just in a brick, and there's no movement going on, and they have like this weird, spongy placeholder in the box so the comic books don't move. And I gotta admit, every order I've ever received from Discount Comic Book Service the comic has been in near mint condition. I don't think I've ever ordered off a Discount Comic Book Service and gotten a comic that was damaged, even in the slightest. Now, checking out online reviews of them, you hear people who say that they have gotten damaged books for them, and everything like that. So, and the issue I had with them wasn't about a damaged book. It was more like a missing book from the order. But like I said, they took care of that. So shipping, I've never really had a problem with Discount Comic Book Service. With Midtown Comics, they bag and board the books because, they give it to you for free. But then they put it in a brown paper bag, and then they just kind of wrap it around in bubble wrap, and then they put that into the box, and then they ship it to you. So it's pretty secure. The difference, however, is that a couple of Midtown Comics books that I've had have arrived not near mint. They look like they've been handled, like they look like they sat on a rack in the actual physical store for a while, and then that's just what they grabbed, and then they just shipped it out to me. I don't know if that's how they do business, if they're online and their retail is a separate entity. I'm not really sure. But I have received a couple of books from Midtown Comics that were like that. You also hear people online, again, anecdotal, who claim that they've gotten books that have been like severely bent, pages folded, and all that kind of stuff. I've never had something like that happen to me from Midtown Comics, but I got to give a slight edge to Discount Comic Book Service from that. The other thing, though, is a lot of you guys might be thinking, well, why go online at all when you should be kind of supporting your local retail store and all that kind of stuff. So I calculated the numbers based off of how my local comic book store handles their previous orders. So they offer a 20% discount. So I would have had to pay about $118.71 to get the same books minus the Saga trade paperback, the Aspen Universe source book, Rat Queens #1, and also Soulfire from the Midtown Comics. So it would have been far more expensive to get them retail, plus paying tax. It brings the total up to about $129. But then if you do order the books through my local comic book store, at least, they do offer a 20% discount. So it brings the total down to about like $103. So compared to Discount Comic Book Service, they're about $13 more expensive. And compared to Midtown Comics, they're about $9 to $10 more expensive. So again, some of you guys might be like, well, I'm willing to pay $10 extra or $12 extra a month because I get a sense of community. And I go down and I talk to the shop owner and all that kind of stuff. And if you're one of those people, then, you know, maybe ordering from Midtown Comics or Discount Comic Book Service is not for you. And a lot of people don't do that. A bunch of people at my local comic store order from the local comic book store and do the preview from there. The reason why I chose to go online eventually was for several factors. Number one, I don't have time to go down to, you know, the comic book store every week on Wednesday. I have a job, I have a family, I have other obligations that I got to take care of, and you know, I'm not a college kid anymore, and I can't just drive down to the comic book store every Wednesday and pick up issues. So I kind of got into a pattern where, you know, going down to the comic book shop like once a month kind of made sense to me, you know. But you know, even doing that, it's kind of a hassle. Even though I live in Southern California and there's like hundreds of comic book stores around me, because of traffic and the distance and, you know, clear across town, you know, I gotta travel on the freeway and all that kind of stuff. And when I'm available to go, I'm talking about commute just to go to the comic book shop that could take a round trip of upwards of an hour, right? So once I kind of, you know, once I made the decision to just go down to the comic book shop like once a month, that 1 hour, you know, that really started to take a toll, right? And even though, you know, yeah, you do get a sense of community, you get to talk to other comic fans and you get to talk to the shop owner and you get to actually look at the comics and you get to flip through them ahead of time to see if you actually like them. There's all sorts of advantages going down there. Once I got in the habit of just going once a month, though, I started thinking, well, why not just get it delivered to my house? It's cheaper anyway, you know? And what's the difference between waiting an extra 4 days if I've waited a whole month to get a book anyway? So for me, if you're in a situation like me where you're older and you don't have time and it's kind of a hassle, but you still want to read comics, going online financially makes a lot of sense. You know, I mean, you pay less. Even if you go with Midtown Comics, most of the time, you're still paying like less. And in the case of Discount Comic Book Service, you're not just paying less, you actually get more. Not only am I in today's scenario where I'm talking about the previews order for March order, not only would it be far cheaper and far less of a hassle than going to my local store, I would also be beating the Midtown Comic, which has great prices in my opinion, and I've ordered from Midtown Comics before. I would not only be saving like 10 to 12 bucks, but I would actually also be getting more value, not just in the dollar sense, but in quantity. I would be getting the Aspen Universe source book. I would be getting the Saga trade paperback. I would be getting Rat Tails #1, right? So, I mean, I'm getting a whole trade off of this, right? Saga #1 for $6. To me, that's the reason why I decided to switch over to Discount Comic Book Service a while ago, and I've been doing previous orders with them for a while now, on and off. But today I just decided, well, why don't I just do an apples to apples, or you know, close to an apples to apples comparison between Midtown Comics and Discount Comic Book Service, and really just choose a company to stick with. So once again, like I said, this is anecdotal. Your situation might be different depending on which books you order and where in the world you're located. For a lot of guys, staying offline and going to an actual comic book store near you might be the best possible choice. But if you're in a situation like me and you've always wondered, is it better to go with Discount Comic Book Service or Midtown Comics, and you order, you know, pretty much the same quantity and types of books that I do, I mean, you can see that Discount Comic Book Service is clearly the winner. They have okay customer service. That's really like their only thing I can knock them off for. But their shipping is usually better than Midtown Comics. Their price is usually slightly better than Midtown Comics, way better than my local comic book store. So yeah, I mean, that's why I go over to them. But anyway, like I said, this is completely anecdotal, not scientific in any way. Do your own research. And once again, I want to point out, I'm not sponsored by anybody, nor do I want to be sponsored at this point. This is just me, for my own interest. I decided to do a comparison and make a video about it just because I thought maybe it might help you guys out. So anyway, if you want to help me out, go ahead and leave a comment below. Have you used Discount Comic Book Service yourself? Are you happy? Are you not happy with their service? Have you ever had a problem? Or do you want to leave them a glowing review in my comment section? Have you ordered from Midtown Comics before? I've ordered from Midtown Comics a ton, and I will continue to order from them because they, sometimes I miss an issue on my previous orders, and not even just an issue, like a lot of issues. So I still order from Midtown Comics every once in a while because they do have great customer service and their prices are great. And even with the paying for shipping and everything like that, a lot of times it's cheaper than my locals. And on top of that, if you order $75 or more on non-previous orders, it's free shipping on comics, So if you do a lot of current shopping and you're not into previews, then Midtown Comics is clearly the winner for you in that sense. But anyway, have you had positive experiences with Midtown? Leave a comment below. Subscribe, that really helps me out. If you subscribe to my channel and you're one of the first 100 people to subscribe, I just want to put a reminder out there. If I ever reach 100 subscribers and you make your subscription public, you have a chance of winning my giveaway where I am giving away Alan Moore's Watchmen. So we start off with 0 subscribers. Now I have 3 subscribers. I know that's not much, but I thought I'd stay at 0. So the 3 people who subscribe, thank you. But if I ever get to 100, I'll put all your names in a video or your YouTube screen names in a video, and I'll just randomly choose somebody using random.com or something like that, or random.org or something like that, and then I'll just ship you out the comic. You have to be a U.S. resident just because of shipping for this giveaway. Sorry, internationals. I will try to come up with a giveaway for you guys coming up pretty soon. Hopefully by the end of this week. I'll post details about that. I'll make a new video for that. But yeah, hit the subscribe button, like this video, leave a comment below. Do you disagree? Do you agree? Do you have a better website that you use? But when it comes to ordering online and ordering specifically previews comics, Discount Comic Book Service makes a lot of sense to me. So hope you enjoyed this video.